Hey,
How you doing?
how are you?
Good, thank you. Welcome to Metal Talk. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. Oh, well, this
Absolutely.
morning for you. Where are you exactly?
I'm in Atlanta, well, right outside Atlanta, Georgia. So it's like 3:25 in the afternoon.
Okay, so it's tea time, isn't it?
Yeah. You got a nice little PRS back there, I see.
I do, yes. It's a Mark Holcomb. It's a baritone one, actually.
I love those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm a rubbish guitarist. I'm a bass player, but I like to play
Nice.
along every now and then.
Right. Very
So,
cool.
you've been pretty busy, haven't you? I mean, the pandemic doesn't stop you. You've had two albums out, one with Sevendust back in October, and then your own first WEP. Tell us about
Yeah. It was crazy. The solo thing happened, because the time was here. I mean, Seven Dust moves so fast that it's like, I finally had some time and, Clint sent me a track of music and said, play some drums on it and sing on it and, have at it. So I did it more as a hobby. It was never thought of that I was going to like release a record and a video and like do the whole record deal thing. It was always just like, I'll throw a song together, I'll put it up on my site, sell a few of them, buy a hamburger, be done with it.
it. Yeah,
So, but it was, I did the song really quick. My girlfriend, we did it during the pandemic, and she's an engineer at a studio in California. So I was stuck in California. I was like, I mean, I can go do this really quick. And she says, yeah, let's go do some music. Let's do something artsy. Instead of being locked out of everything. So it was really cool to be able to do it. And then I went home, and the day after I got back to Atlanta, my manager called me and said, hey, we sent it to Rise and they want to do a deal. I'm like, oh man, I got a record deal now. So that's when it started. And I did the record in like 10 days. And yeah, it was pretty easy to get it done.
brilliant. That's the same label as Sevendust, isn't it? Rise Records.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, wouldn't say no to that.
Yeah, it was a
um,
trip.
Yeah, brilliant. So you're one of the founding members, obviously, of Seven Dust. About 25 years under your belts of career. That's pretty fantastic. Obviously, I'm sure you've had some, ups and downs and bumps in the road and all of that. What would you say are your highlights and then your probably worst time ever?
Whew, I mean, there's been a lot of highs. I mean, it started with, we're just a bunch of kids from Georgia, that had no real, I don't think we were overly optimistic that it was going to work out for us. We'd been semi close with, whether it be really not with this band, other bands before this when we were even younger, we're close to getting deals and stuff like that. So for us to go from, a few hundred people knowing or even caring the slightest bit about us and getting a record deal, and then I'll never forget the first week that the record was out, it sold 311 copies, which is easy to remember because of the band.
Mm.
And so I was like, wow, all of our people and a few other people bought the record. I was so naive, I had no idea how it worked. And then the next week, like 450 bought it. And I was like, who are those people? And then it was 600. And I'm like, oh my God, we're huge. Like we had no idea what was going on, and that, radio promotion and publicity and marketing and things, we had no clue. We didn't get it. So the highest point was like we had a gold record, and it was like 500,000 people have bought this record. It was crazy to think. And then at the end of that tour, we were immediately ready to go in to do another record. We did Home then, and then during that we did Woodstock, like right when the record was coming out. So playing in front of 175,000 people, off your beginning of your second record and having them go bananas, I was like, this is crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah. So those, I mean, so many high points, like touring with Metallica, and Snot was like our closest people in the industry, and we were able to do a ton of touring with them on our first record. Sometimes there'd be barely anybody at the show, and we didn't care. We had a great time together. Um, Woodstock, of course. We went and played for the armed forces twice, in Iraq and Afghanistan, and got to see, some serious people out there. Very humbled to do that and honored. Um, and got to tour the world. Every time we come to Australia, it's another. I mean, I remember the first time we played Australia, I think it might have been on the Seasons record, but it was packed. And I'm like, we're as far from our home as you can get, and these people are singing the songs as loud as they do at home. I mean, it was a trip. That first tour of Australia, I'll never forget. It was unbelievable. Um,
Can imagine.
yeah,
You also
tons of great
made
ones.
a Grammy nomination in 2015. That must
Yep.
be
Got
pretty
it.
amazing.
That was wild, to be together for so long and then finally get one, was definitely, that was interesting. Um, and yeah, so I mean, there's been a bunch of high stuff. The low stuff has been there too. We've lost a lot of our closest people, that have passed away along the road. Some people that worked with us, some people that we idolized and we became friends with. I mean, we just lost both Vinnie Paul and Eddie Van Halen, and both of those people I was very close to.
Sorry
Um,
to hear. I mean, obviously, to us, they're just incredible, icons. To you, they're probably friends as well. So,
yeah, that was very rough. I mean, those are, I mean, because they're iconic people on top of it, so it's like we grew up idolizing these people, and then they became our friends, and then they're gone.
yeah,
And Neil Peart left this year as well,
I know.
so arguably, the most influential drummer and guitar player of all time, maybe, definitely in my generation, are both gone. uh, but and aside from that, it started pretty early. I mean, Lynn Strait passed away while we were doing the first record, the end of the first album. So like we only got to be with him for like a year and a half, and he was gone, which ironically enough today is the day that he passed away.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, that's been the low stuff, I mean, there's been, some internal things that were pretty heavy. The loss of Lejean's brother while we were on the road. Um, there's been plenty. I mean, but when you live, 23 years on the road,
Yeah,
things are going to happen.
of course, it's pretty impressive actually, and of course, yes, highs and lows all the times, isn't it? I mean, you've had
Yeah.
a massive scare last year, didn't you? I was actually at that show. I was so looking forward. I must confess, I've never seen you before live, and I was so looking forward to seeing you with the Alter Bridge tour. And then you got sick, so you had to cancel, and I was very
Yeah.
gutted. What happened exactly? Tell us about that.
I mean, it was the night before we were leaving, literally I was packing, and I had a stomach ache all day, and I had been feeling that stomach ache very, from annoying to, wow, that really kind of hurts for like 3 or 4 days. And that particular day, it was weird because I got the mixes for our record that day, and I was sitting in my car listening to it, and I couldn't finish it because I was like in so much pain. I'm like, I got to go inside and lay down. So I came inside and I was laying there, and I was like, something's going on here. I couldn't really get around. So all I kept thinking, I really didn't think it was anything that was like catastrophic. I just thought, this is super uncomfortable to be flying all the way over to Europe right now.
Yeah.
Like if I had to do it right now, this would be rough. So I called my mom. I said, "Can you go and get me some medicine from the pharmacy?" And she had talked to the pharmacist, and they gave me this stuff called magnesium citrate, which is, I'm being super graphic, but it's supposed to make sure that
Yeah.
there's nothing inside. So I took that stuff, and it's supposed to start working within minutes, and about 20 minutes into it, nothing was happening, and I was just getting more pain, and then I started vomiting.
Oh,
So then that wouldn't stop for hours, and my mother finally was like, "I'm going to take you to the hospital." So she took me to the hospital, and I was completely incapacitated. I mean, I was violently throwing up. I couldn't stop. And there's way more graphic stuff I could say I won't put you through all that. But it was really, really bad. And then they took an X-ray of me, and they said they found a mass in my abdomen, and they put me on morphine and Zofran to stop me from being sick, and put me in a room, and I was all drugged up, and I looked at him, and the doctor said, "We found a mass in your abdomen, and we're gonna do a bunch of tests now."
gosh.
And I looked at him, and I said, "I gotta fly to Europe tomorrow."
Hey, no, you're not going anywhere.
That's exactly what he said. He said, "You understand what I just told you? You're going nowhere."
Ain't gonna happen, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. So I was there for, I think, 10 days, and on my birthday, which is Sunday this year, was the day that I went in for surgery. So they really couldn't figure out what had happened to me at the time before I went into surgery, because nothing was showing up for them other than this mass that they couldn't diagnose. Um, so they wanted to do lab surgery and explore in there and see what was going on. But they did have a tube down my nose, down my throat, and it had pumped out 6 liters of poison out of me. So they knew I was going septic,
Good
and
grief.
that was what was going to kill me. So it wouldn't stop. They couldn't get the poison to stop forming. So it was in there for 3 days, and it just constantly was filling these buckets full of it. So as they were draining it, more and more would form. I didn't eat or drink for days, and they were intravenously giving me fluids. But what ended up happening was I had a hole in my gallbladder and a hole in my small intestines.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's not
and
a
they think that it had started 2 months before that. So it was slowly killing me for 2 months. And then,
joke. I mean, it's a good thing that you caught it in time. I mean, are you okay now? Like,
yeah, I mean, I got the clean bill of health on like February 28th, and
good.
then the world shut down on the 6th.
You're just not
But
lucky.
yeah, I mean, but, but yeah, they said if I would have gotten on the plane, I probably would have gone into septic shock and died. So
Gosh, thank God you didn't. I mean,
yeah,
and drumming is such a physical, isn't it, activity as well. Like you engage
yeah,
every single part of your body. So, wow. I mean, that's definitely a major scare. But I'm really glad to hear that you're okay, and obviously, see you like you're alive and kicking,
yeah,
so brilliant. So
yeah,
yeah,
I'm good.
speaking of drumming, you're an amazing drummer. You have fans all over the world, loving you and admiring you. You've been number one metal drummer and number one for recorded performance on Modern Drummer magazine 2004. How do you feel that you have evolved in terms of your technique and your style? And do you feel that you had to make any sort of like compromises or any adjustments for the band?
I mean, I don't really pay that much attention to drums. That's the irony to it, is that I'm more interested in the songwriting aspect and the melodies and the lyrics and things like that. So over time, I really kind of neglected the drums to where we would program drums for demos. I wouldn't even bother playing them. It's like, let's just get to the stuff that really counts, to me. And then it'd be like, okay, we've got it. Okay, now play drums. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, I don't, how does it go? Like, I don't even know how this goes, and that's kind of how it's been for a long time for me. I have a style that I really never took any lessons. I don't practice. I don't have any drums in my house. I've got probably like 15 drum sets. They're all in boxes in the warehouse. Like, I just don't it's not that I don't care. I I start to get geared up before tours, and before when we're doing writing, I'll start getting mentally prepared, but um, I don't do a whole lot. It's really strange. I mean, I have this thing where I don't think there's anything special about it. It's just my way of playing. There's so many amazing drummers out there, and they've gotten better and better over the years to where, I mean, for me to be mentioned in the same breath with most of these guys, and lots of them are like kids. They're very young. Uh, some people say they're like, if I had uh, the ability to pop on the computer and watch how this guy plays this, I would have been so much better, and we used to get VHS tapes,
Mhm.
and you'd watch it and pause it and look, and that'd be how you would look at it. Now you can probably find, 100 different ways to play any song, and they'll close up the feet and they'll close up the hands and they'll show you every angle. I don't ever say that I would be any different because I never cared about learning anything. I never cared about, like, I was terrible at cover songs. I'd play it the way I would play it. I mean, I played in Motley Crue for 2 weeks and I don't think I played any of the songs right. I just never learned them.
I'm sure you made them yours, though. I mean, obviously, something is working, so you're doing something right there for sure.
Well, thank you.
What's your setup for us geeks?
I mean, I have a Pearl. I kind of fluctuate through Masterworks. I have a few Masterworks kits that we built with strange configurations. Some of them guinea pigs, to see if it would sound good. And most of them, all of them have sounded good, but some better than others. Reference. I have a bunch of reference kits that they're like perfect right out of the box. Uh, I also fluctuate between single kick with a double eliminator pedal, or I did do a few runs with the old school two kick drums just because, you can. And
Nothing wrong with that.
then I usually run the same kind of tom setup. It's usually 10, 12, 14, 16. Um, I'll roll an 18 every now and again, or I'll put a 20-inch gong over on the side. Uh, I have a million Sabian cymbals. I just put cymbals where most of the I like to have a variety and have every option. Um, but more than anything, I like to play pretty aggressively, and I need to make sure there's something that's going to get hit. So there's something in every area, so I'm not usually missing anything.
You come
Uh,
from the Neil Peart school of thoughts, don't you?
yeah, yeah. There's something there. I mean, anywhere you're going, there's going to be something to have fun with. Um,
Nothing wrong with
then
hitting hard whatsoever.
yeah,
Bring it
and
on.
then yeah, of course. And I've been with Vader drumsticks forever. I have a signature stick over there, and Evans drumheads, and JH Audio ears, and yeah, I've been very, very blessed, very lucky that those companies take care of me so well.
Good stuff. So going to the Sevendust latest album, loved it. I actually reviewed it for you guys. Blood and Stone. What was the concept behind it? Was it, thought out? And especially was it, I mean, did you write it during the pandemic? How, what were the challenges?
No, we actually, that's the weird part, is that we wrote that record last October. We recorded it.
Okay.
Um, and there's really, with the exception of like one record in our career, there's really no rhyme or reason when we start putting a record together. We don't even really pay that much attention to cohesiveness within the record. It's kind of like whatever songs are our favorites, we're going to go with. Um, so yeah, there was no concept, no idea of we're going to go heavier or lighter, or, we never think about that. So it was a really smooth record. I mean, we had a little bit of time off before we went in to record it. We were all in a really good headspace, so there wasn't any friction inside the room. Uh, it was really smooth. The worst part about it was the obvious of the world shutting down and trying to think, when are we going to release this thing?
Yeah.
And then realizing we're probably going to lose this record. Like, we're probably going to put this record out and it'll do what it does, and then it's going to die because there's no way to support it. But we had to make the choice to put it out because we weren't going to sit on it for 2 years. We needed to get that part of that. That was like the babies were all made, they've grown up, and it's time to get them out of the house. And by the time we got to when we were releasing it, it was like these damn kids were way past 18 and it was time to get out.
Yeah.
Like, we needed them out so we could start making some new babies. So
Absolutely. It's a tough call, isn't it? It's such I don't want to repeat, the whole unprecedented, but it's so true though, isn't it? And it's so
yeah,
difficult to, establish anything really, should you just carry on as normal and try and just pretend, it's
yeah,
not happening, that kind of thing. So yeah,
it's very, very hard to figure out what's going
definitely.
on and what's going to happen, because there's way too much dialogue, there's way too much information coming from so many different areas that it's like whoever has the power to make it right and to get us moving and to get this thing to go away, which, again, I usually don't get into politics or COVID talk because everyone has such a strong opinion because it's been politicized,
Very
you
much.
know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gosh.
So,
Very much.
you know, you're never gonna make people agree on this thing. There's way too many on one side that say that everywhere from it's not even real to we need to just get back to work and let the chips fall.
For
And
the
then you get,
record, sorry to interrupt. I've had it. It's real. I've had it.
yeah,
It's real.
yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, I've known a bunch of people that have had it, and we've known some that have passed away.
Wow.
So it's
Sorry.
real.
Yeah.
It's definitely real, and I don't want it. I
No,
mean, I've
you don't want.
traveled. Nobody that I've talked to, with the exception of a few that were the lucky ones. I mean, now in the state that it's in right now, it's obviously much weaker than it was in March,
Mm,
but I don't want it.
no.
Because they're still killing people. I mean, it's still doing what it's doing. So even though it's much milder, uh, it affects everybody different. I mean, I know a family that got it. The entire family got it, and each four of them have a different symptom and a different situation going
Yeah.
on.
Absolutely. I mean, I've
So
had something like 25 symptoms. I'm not kidding. We called it, there's a bunch of us that we kind of gathered together because I had it in March and that's very, very little was known about it. So we created this forum and each of us had different symptoms. And then we called it the Goldilocks virus because honestly, it was like, okay, so I'm experiencing this, but then you're experiencing that, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy, to be honest. But people get it
well,
in different, levels of strength
yeah,
and
sure.
seriousness as well. So
Yeah,
anyway,
you're a young, healthy woman.
mm, thank you for that. Not so young, but yes, healthy indeed. Yes,
You're
I'm trying.
young, right? I mean, you're very young. So where it's like, I mean,
Yeah, let's say
we're
that.
not talking. I mean, we're not talking
Not
about like,
exactly 15. No.
no, but we're not talking about, I mean, the whole stigma behind it was if you're 75 and you weigh 400 pounds and you have diabetes, you need to be worried about it. And it's like, no, there's much younger people
Yeah,
that are not overweight, that are in shape, and they are dying, you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
So I just, there's not enough known about it for me to be saying, I'm cool, man. Let's get it and take our chances. Like, I'm just not, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what your fucking opinion is on it. I don't want it, you know?
Very wise. Let me tell you, very wise indeed. Yeah, I mean, obviously people will decide for themselves, but
Yeah.
yeah, all I can say to you is very wise choice. Obviously, this has affected incredibly, the music industry, the live music scene is effectively, on a hold and
Yeah.
probably, hanging by a thread. So I'm in UK. We've actually, I don't know if you heard the news, watched the news, whatever, we approved the vaccine a few days ago,
Yeah.
and it's just received the FDA approval as well in the States. Do you think that, what's your perception on it? Do you think there will be a shift finally, like the world finally can open up again? And how do you expect people to react in terms of mass gatherings and going to a concert again? Do you know what I mean? We're all dying for.
Well, it's interesting. I think that if, again, since it's been politicized so much, I think that if they say that it's okay, like if it's a universal thing that says we've tamed this beast enough to where be careful, but you can, resume your normal life, I think it's going to be, you know, it's going to be an avalanche. I mean, people are going to go bananas. I mean, I know that when people put stuff together here and they're really not supposed to, and we're like, we have states where you can, go and lick fucking doorknobs in the middle of the street and it's okay, and then other states where you're not allowed to walk out of the house or else they're going to scream at you. So it's like we're like connected, and literally, like, one state is right here and they can't do anything, and then the state that borders them, where you can literally drive right over there and do that, those people can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So that's where the spreading of everything happens, is that it's not a universal thing here. It's every
Mm.
state has its own rules. And I've been to a lot of them. So one place you have to wear a mask to go anywhere. And another place, if you're wearing a mask, you got people screaming at you that you're an asshole for wearing one. So,
It's great.
I think that once it's okayed, and once the numbers drift down to a place where it's no it's not an alarming situation, it's no different than any other, whether it be the flu or common cold or whatever. I think that it's going to be mass hysteria of people going out. People
Oh
are ready.
yeah, party apply indeed,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. So obviously Clint has got his solo project, brilliant album by the way, loved it. And
Thank you.
John is in Projected, with the guys from Alter Bridge and Tremonti. Um, is that why you felt the need to do something of your own, like a solo thing, or was it just, how did it happen?
No, I mean, I really, like I said, I mean, it wasn't like I felt like I needed to do it. Um, I do so many other things, that I fulfill what I need to do creating. It wasn't something that was really on my radar of I need to do a solo record because everybody else is doing one. Um, it just turned into, the opportunity is here. And then I realized I have a bunch of songs that lyrically I can write about myself that won't be uncomfortable or disrespectful to Lejean. Like, instead of me writing a song about being in a mental state that wasn't so healthy, to say the least, and thinking about doing catastrophic things to myself, um, that's kind of unfair to write lyrics about something like that and then hand them to Lejean and expect him to talk about that when he doesn't feel that way. You
Fair
know,
enough. Yeah.
if you're talking about something very universal, whether it be, partying or girls or even drinking or something like that, the person delivering that message could probably easily relate. But when you're talking about, you know, doing some harm to yourself and the feeling of regretting it and being able to look down and see how many people that you hurt and it's too late to fix it, that's something that's pretty heavy to put on somebody to talk about if they don't feel that way.
Absolutely makes sense. I absolutely loved the new single Excel. I think that is just stunning, beautiful. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I loved the whole EP. So yeah, very well done.
Thank
Um,
you.
so have you always wanted to sing, like be at the forefront? Because obviously, I know that you do your singing, you're shouting in
Yeah.
like a screamo growly type of vocalization and stuff, get
Yeah.
it all out. It's very very different obviously when you sing
Yeah.
melodically and you interpret words and stuff. How did you feel about that transition?
I mean, I write a lot of melodies and lyrics for Sevendust as well, you know, so we all write in the band. So the way that we do it, anyone could have, you know, lyrics or a melody for something. So, you know, Lejean could be working on one thing and then there's another song and we're in the studio and I'm like, hey, I got a verse idea for this. And then I'll just go in the control room, I'll jump in the vocal booth and sing it as a scratch to see how it sits in the song and visualize and try to mentally think, would Lejean sound good singing this? You know, so I've had a singing voice the entire time as far as putting that stuff together. Um, it wasn't that I thought, I mean, there were moments that I was like, man, that sounds pretty good when I sing that. And then I said, man, I think I can sing. And then Lejean will go in there and just pulverize me. You know, I'm like, well, that's a good singer, you know? So, but I mean, that's writing for certain things too, you know, like this stuff that I put on my record, and the songs that Clint had put together musically for me to write to, they fit I think what my voice was about, you know, it was something that was very comfortable in that area.
Yeah, I mean, you're very different singers. I wouldn't even compare, you know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
beautiful. Yeah, well
Yeah.
done. So, I don't know if you have even managed to make any future plans in terms of how you're going to juggle between taking Sevendust on the road and obviously, you know, your solo stuff as
The
well.
solo thing is gonna have to wait
Eventually,
for
at
sure.
some point, God knows when.
I mean, if the solo thing ever did anything live, it would probably be some configuration of me and Clint, whether it would be me playing drums for his solo thing, him playing guitar for my solo thing. We have Call Me No One together as well. So it would probably be something like that where we would have kind of like this evening with Morgan and Clint where we would just go out with different players and we would play songs from all those different entities. And I think that would be something kind of special, pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Please do it. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I'll
that
be
would be something I
there.
think I would like.
I'll buy the tickets. No, definitely.
Yeah,
Should be done. Yeah, you need to take it out on the road. People will love it.
yeah, for sure.
For sure, for sure. Right, before we go, I have a shout out for you actually. So I'm a musician myself and I went on tour with somebody that you know apparently. His name is Percy Troyanov. He's the bassist
Yeah,
of Madam
Madam
Mayhem.
Mim.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
So he says hello and
hello.
he asked me to tell you to congratulate you because of the win of the Lightning for the Stanley Cup. Now, I must admit, because I know
Too
nothing
cool.
about hockey, so I had to
Yeah, that's
actually
cool.
Google this. But yes, so are you a
That's
bigger
very
hockey
cool.
fan then?
Yeah, I'm a big sports fan, so that was cool to get a Stanley Cup again this year.
Yeah, aren't they a
Yeah,
Tampa Bay team though?
yeah,
Oh, so you
hmm
go for them. Okay,
yeah, good for them. That's too
excellent.
cool. Make sure you tell them I love them and I miss them when you see them or talk to them.
Yeah, he's a dear friend of mine. We had an amazing time on tour. He's brilliant. I love him to bits. He's such
Great, great
a
person.
talented musician and a
Very
fantastic
much,
guy as well, isn't he? So yeah, I
100%.
will sure tell him that. I mean, he'll probably watch this anyway.
Awesome.
So you're also a businessman. You have your own, well, chocolate clothing line called Alien Freakware. Any
Yeah,
connection in terms of sci-fi, aliens, and
I'm all about that stuff.
are
Yeah,
you
like
excellent?
I'm very much into like all of that stuff. I you know, that's a whole nother conversation that we could get into. But yeah, I'm very interested in extraterrestrial stuff. So that was where that all really started.
Very cool. What's your favorite sci-fi movie?
Oh God. I mean, I guess Alien.
Yes.
Yeah, that would probably be my favorite.
Good
But
stuff.
there's tons of them.
So if you were in a time machine, would you do it all over again or would you do something completely different?
Oh God, I do so many things different.
What would you do?
I definitely put the microscope on the people that were supposed to be taking care of us a little bit more. There was many times in our career where we just trusted everyone around us, and you know, the business is tough. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people. I think we have a really good team right now. I'd like to say that we trust everyone that we're dealing with, but And I do feel that trust, but it is tough, when you've been raked over the coals a few times. It's like, damn, you know. But I would definitely do that different. I'd probably take care of myself a little bit more. It was a lot of fun, but there was a lot of damage that I did. You know,
Hindsight is a beautiful thing,
yeah,
eh?
absolutely.
Fair enough. Well, excellent. Well, I don't wish to, keep you for too long. We've gone way over time already.
My
I
post
just wanted
is messaging me right now. I
to.
know he's mad at me. I didn't answer him.
Oops.
Oh,
I
he's
shall
asking me
let you
about.
go. I just want to thank you so, so much for spending time with us. It was brilliant having you, and
Thank
wish
you.
you all the best with both albums. And I will definitely be there whenever we get to play.
Absolutely. We'll be there as soon as we're allowed, I promise.
Great to meet you. Thank you so much,
You
Morgan.
too.
You
God
take
bless.
care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.